Now it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhale frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great.
Yes, cannabis. Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer-mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
Oh, yeah, start the day off with a little Wilhelm scream. That's always nice.
Wilhelm scream, yeah.
Welcome to Toker Talk Radio, hanging out here with Brian the Red.
Hey. I'm here somewhere.
There you are.
Hey.
Get everything set here, get our levels back, do some adjusting. Hey, I want to thank everybody for sticking with the show, and I want to apologize for not having a Toker Talk Radio yesterday. If you followed the rant yesterday, I will try my best not to let my personal life slip into my rants, but every 100 shows or so.
I actually missed the show yesterday, so.
Yeah, I was talking about how, what the personal effects of becoming a super dedicated activist are.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just,
personal effects are, you've got to have basically, I don't know, not no regard for your own personal life, but kind of no regard for your privacy.
Yeah, there's that. And for me, the issue was my niece. I forgot my niece's birthday. It was the same day as Willie Nelson's birthday. And so she was really bummed out about it. And I took it the wrong way. And it was just an awful day. I did what I do. I sat down here in the cave and sulked for about 18 hours. And then now everything's good. So we're all better.
Like a real man.
That's right. That's right. I will go into my cave and figure it out my own damn self.
Yeah. Fuck your pharmaceuticals and your therapists and shit.
Oh, yeah. Well, I smoked a lot of weed. Yeah. And then last night I did something. That rarely do I do. I walked all the way down to Division to a bar to drink alcohol.
Wow.
Yeah, I wanted some hard drugs.
Wow, man, that's tough.
So I went down to drink, and I was like, okay, I know there's a bar down here somewhere, right?
Is that Buckley's, I think.
Well, Buckley's was closed. That was the one I had remembered, right?
Snap.
Buckley's, right? But right past Buckley's is a bar that used to be called The Agenda, but now it's called something else. And the reason it's now called something else is because they've added dancers.
Oh, the Asset.
The Asset.
I just saw this place and commented because they have a sign up that says, live nude dancers, auditions Monday through Thursday. And I made the joke to my friend saying, yeah, if you make the cut, then you're dancing on Friday and Saturday.
That's right. So it was open. So I went in. And indeed, there was a live nude dancer.
Wow. In Portland? No way.
She was, shall we charitably say, Rubenesque. But lovely lady, I'm sure. But anyway, I had my shot of Southern Comfort, and that was all the Southern Comfort they had. So then I had 2 shots of tequila, and then I stumbled my way home. Because I think I got there like at 1:30. They were closing up and everything. It was a hell of a day yesterday. Had to have some hard drugs, but it's all better now.
Good. Well, we've got some condensed medicine here.
Yeah, what kind of hash is that?
Hash. This is actually a couple different kinds. I'm not sure exactly which these two are, because, sometimes after you've been making so much, it just kind of goes into a jar.
Yeah, I understand that.
But I did have some fun making up some Blue Dream hash last week, and some Belladonna, which is very nice.
Very good.
And maybe we'll have some of that to share tomorrow.
All right.
At the March.
Yes. And we are so
what
looking
a
forward to March. Kenny should be here. Cousin Kenny should be here tomorrow about 9 in the morning with the truck
and the permit. Yep.
We'll load up the PA and the monitors and all the gear. We got about 30 signs, and I know that.
And we got people who made more signs, and ICO's got some signs.
ICO was telling me Jody Emery sent him 15 free Mark Emery signs.
Excellent.
So we'll have that going.
There was
too.
also some signs that were donated by the Cannabis Cafe.
Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that in hour one that after the 2:00 close of the square,
after the march ends, there's going to be an after party.
That's right.
Which there usually is a few, and go and check them out. If you're actually, are these just card holders?
The Cannabis Cafe one is a card holder one.
Okay, there may be a couple other private clubs around that are usually medical only that are going to be allowing in non-medical patients, just because they're private club and they can do that.
Don't tell no one.
But I'm not mentioning anybody because I don't know. I haven't heard
which ones.
I haven't heard anything yet.
But if you show
I've heard
up
of
March,
this thing happening before.
Yeah, show up to March, keep your ears open, and you'll find out what's up.
Yeah.
Plus, we're going to have a bunch of stickers. We got our 420 Radio and Russ Belva Show stickers. They're in the other room
somewhere.
with the signs. I was putting stickers on the bottom of the NCR 420.
Oh, good. Like
you suggested. Got that all taken care of.
Radio.
We'll be there with the big 420 Radio banner, the PA, lots of speakers, music going on.
And megaphones.
Yeah,
I love megaphones.
And we'll live stream as much as we can.
And what we're not going to live stream, we've got little handy cams, so we'll be shooting some video, getting shots of, our fellow supporters of cannabis legalization and, basically the right to do what we want with ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're going to take a little break here and enjoy some of this concentrated cannabis product. Also, for our break music, when we come back from the ad, we'll play some Slayer. Because, of course, guitar player from Slayer died yesterday of complications that originally resulted from a spider bite. He got a spider bite, he got a necrotizing fasciitis, and now liver failure. Wow. So we're going to play some Slayer when we come back. Stick around.
The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
I'm Sub Cool from Team Green Avenger. At TGA Genetics.com, we are working on the leading edge of medical strains. Our strains are rigorously tested for THC, CBD, THCV, and other critical cannabinoids. Know your grow. Check out our genetic diversity at TGAGenetics.com, the home of Jelly Bean, Jack the Ripper, Vortex, and other award-winning cannabis strains.
As you're sure aware, we have a new album that's out. It's one I understand seems to be picked up by quite a few of you. I have one question. Have you learned the words to our song? You have waited this long. Hell no longer awaits.
Of course, music from Slayer, and rest in peace. There was another video I wanted to bring up here, and this one comes from the TV show The Doctors, and this one has to do with marijuana tourism. Let's check this out. If we get sound on it, that would be nice.
A vacation that has people gathering from all over the world.
Well, My 420 Tours is the first vacation company in North America that allows for adults to come visit a state that has authorized the possession and use of cannabis. It'll just be a non-stop event where 5 days later they'll go home knowing they just had the best vacation they've ever had, and they were allowed to use marijuana like adults. One of the big concerns that we had, certainly in doing a pot tour like this, is we didn't want people driving, and we've made sure that somebody should never have to drive a car while they're here. We'll be showing people what a dispensary looks like, so why don't you come on in? This is something most people have never seen, much less up close and personal. People will come in and have an opportunity to do workshops where they learn how to make hash, they learn how to cook with cannabis, they'll meet growers and see a licensed cultivation facility, they'll have private events just for our members where they can use marijuana responsibly amongst each other. This is infinitely safer and more secure than the kinds of street pot that you get being grown up in national parks. This is one of the only places really in the world that the government has said it is okay for adults to use cannabis like they do alcohol, and we're here to provide a safe, fun environment where somebody can have a great Colorado vacation.
We're joined by the co-owner of the cannabis tourism company called My 420 Tours, and Brown is with us. This is interesting. That was interesting, right? Just seeing the footage of all those plants.
Yeah, right.
Because normally you see that and there's a massive drug bust.
Right. Cops running in there. So now it's all legal to just have that?
This isn't medicinal marijuana.
Right. As of November, the citizens in Colorado voted to allow anyone over the age of 21 to responsibly use marijuana in private. It definitely goes a step beyond the medical marijuana system that we have in Colorado and have had for a long time.
So on these tours, do you serve munchies?
That's mandatory.
I'm thinking they're going to get a little.
There will definitely be some snacks, and there's a lot of great restaurants in Denver.
Right. They must think, hey, that was quite a trip, man.
But see, nobody's really afraid of it or upset about it.
Yeah,
nice, huh?
But they're still joking about it.
Hey, we got a call coming in from right here in Oregon, 503 area code. You're on the air with Toker Talk Radio.
Bacon Dan.
Hey, Russ, it's Bacon Dan. How you doing?
Bacon Dan, what's happening, my man?
Not too much. I just wanted to call and say that I hope everybody who's listening in takes part in their local march tomorrow. I'm very excited to be participating in my first ever march here in Portland.
Here. Man. That's awesome.
Bacon Dan's getting a lot of firsts here in Portland. He's definitely enjoying where he landed, traveling the Undergreen Railroad.
Oh, absolutely. And Russ, personally, I just wanted to say that, and I got to watch the video again of the rant from yesterday, and I'll tell you what, man, I had tears in my eyes in a good way, though. So it's, you do much more than you realize for so many people, man.
Well, thank you. And that's something I have to remember is that, there's a whole lot of activists out there all around the world who kind of got their kickstart listening to me. I think Cannabis Cure in the UK and Georgia Mom out there in Georgia and, lots of people. So,
and if I haven't said it enough, thank you, Russ, because seriously, you gave me opportunities, that I would not have had otherwise. And
well, you gave me hash, I wouldn't have had otherwise. So there we go. The circle is complete.
There we go.
Yeah. Hey, Dan, I saw, just briefly, flipping through Huffington Post, I saw some picture, gory hit in, NHL playoff game, blood on the ice.
Nice.
Tell us what's going on with the NHL.
Well, right now, that was a game between Montreal and Ottawa, this first round of the playoffs. As cities, there's a lot of hatred between Montreal and Ottawa. Montreal basically being the center of all things Quebecois, and Ottawa being the capital of Canada. Good first round game, but the hit was there's going to be a suspension coming to the player on Ottawa. The guy's lucky that he didn't bleed out on the ice.
Really? What got hit in the head? What happened?
Basically, it was a blindside hit. He hit him with the shoulder underneath, basically in the face, and his whole face cracked right off the ice.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, those Canadians can be mean, eh?
Yeah, it was nasty, but it's this is what playoff hockey's all about, and right now a lot of good sports things going on. The Timbers had an amazing game last night. Sadly, it ended in a 0-0 tie, but hell of a game. Although we did lose one of our players to a torn ACL.
Oh no! Well, that's not good.
Was apparently he tore it like right off the bone.
Oh my God! Ouch!
Yeah. So it should be interesting for the Timbers. We are in third place here in the West in MLS, so it's anybody who comes through the Portland area, highly recommend going to a Timbers game. It is an experience on itself.
Oh yeah.
And I was just thinking about timber and things that burn, trees and such, and it's looking to be just about that time. Don't you think?
What do we got in that little bag there? I'll switch to the co-host cam here.
I think that's some super sour diesel. So
super sour.
I like the way you guys think. I'm about to have some purple Mr. Nice Guy myself here.
Ooh, purple Mr. Nice Guy. Well, let's get to it then. What the hell?
All right.
Thanks, Bacon Man, for calling in, and we hope you have a good 420, and we'll see you tomorrow at the March.
I shall see you there.
All right.
And you all know that the only reason we enjoy this freedom is because we stood up and fought for it. So get out to the March this weekend.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? Reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? Reefer man. If he said he swam to China, he would sell you South Carolina. Then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
420radio.org is listener-supported cannabis community radio, and while we value every $4.20 donation that comes in monthly from our members, we take this moment to offer an extra special thanks to our most generous donors who have provided over $1,000 worth of support to 420radio.org. For their privacy's sake, we'll identify these knights and dames of the smoky table as Sir Randy of the Lakes, Dame Kathleen the Beneficent, Dame Kaylee the Wise, Sir Travis of Stumptown, Sir Rolla J of Cush, and others who wish to remain anonymous. Thank you, Lords.
On an all-new intervention.
Mark, welcome home. Please come, join us.
Mark hasn't smoked weed in about 10 days, and I'm worried about him. I can't watch him destroy himself.
I'm fine, okay? This is none of your business.
Shh. Come, Mark. We're only here because we care.
I'm in control. That's what they don't get, is that I can start smoking weed anytime that I want to. I just don't feel like it right now.
At first he was, just skipping a day here and there. But then it got more and more consistent, and then he just wasn't smoking any weed at all.
Mark, we haven't smoked a joint together in like 3 weeks, man. I don't know who you are anymore. Your short-term memory is incredible.
I just can't sit back and watch someone destroy their own lives with horrible decisions.
See you guys. Stupid, I'm getting out of here. Hey, don't touch me!
It hurts me a lot, What do you do for someone that you care about that is ruining their own life? What do you do?
He's not showing any signs of starting.
Intervention on A&E.
Hi, this is Keith Strop, the founder and currently legal counsel at NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. NORML is the marijuana smokers' lobby in America, working to stop the arrests of responsible marijuana smokers and establish a legally regulated market where consumers could buy their marijuana in a safe and secure environment. I smoke pot, and I like it a lot. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the responsible use of marijuana, and it should be of no interest or concern to the government.
Hello,
This is Jack Herr. Cannabis hemp is the #1 paper, fiber, food, fuel, and medicine. In fact, it's the best medicine in the whole world for curing cancer. 100% of cancer and most traces. Listen to the individual.
Yeah, it's a war on drugs, but we ain't a drug, it's a herb. Grown from the earth, I was blowing that perk. When I wrote this verse, I was gone in the head. Think about a plant that God made if I get caught with. Wrong place at the wrong time, had me locked up for a long time. Had your ass in the case for a little dime. On the real, I won't lie, I'ma stay high, I'ma stay fly. Middle finger wave to the law like high. I don't give a fuck about the laws right now. I'ma go hard, get my all right now. Blaze that up, state my case. Blow a big cloud in the police face. Sick of the slicks trying to jack my swag. Searching my whip trying to find some bags. Tip low key, oh so sweet with the flip technique. Running through the land like a hungry beast. Look what these haters done did to me. I'm TCO, finna go OC. We can hide that woe, you can keep your peace. I'ma be right here rolling swishes sweet. Legalize my trees, don't fuck with me.
Hello, this is Ed Rosenthal. I smoke weed every day, and I feel that I'm really patriotic because I'm helping the DEA get rid of that weed. You see, I look for it, I seize it, and then I destroy it.
Hey Tokers, this is Radical Russ, the voice of normal, and it's got to be 420 somewhere in the world. The individuals have a message for you, and it's about your freedom. It ain't about getting high, because we're getting high already. It's about Eddie Lepp and Charles Lynch fighting prison time for gardening. It's about Rachel Hoffman and Katherine Johnston, dead because of cops playing drug war. So listen up and pay proper respect. Respect.
Big thanks to the individuals. That's their 420 Situations off the latest album.
This is Casper Lee.
And we're going to trail that off because we've got another segment we've got to get to.
I think about the freedom
right away.
that comes from doing so. The freedom.
More info you all need to know.
Now it's time for our Raid of the Day. Raid of the Day features accounts of police raids covered and researched by Radley Balco for his forthcoming book, Rise of the Warrior Cop, The Militarization of America's Police Forces. It's due out in July, but you can pre-order now. Brenda Van Zwyten, age 51, was shot and killed during a 2010 drug raid on her home by the Broward, Florida Sheriff's Department. According to police, Van Zwyten was holding a handgun when they approached her in the home, and then refused to drop it when ordered to do so. Van Zwyten's boyfriend was arrested without resistance. In the weeks before the raid, however, Van Zwyten had been robbed, and the man she believed committed the robbery had threatened her on the internet. Her friends and family also pointed to the fact that she had no prior criminal record, and that the police entered the home in a particularly aggressive and terrifying manner by smashing through a sliding glass door to suggest that she likely wasn't aware that the armed intruders in her home were police. Van Zwyten was also a PTA member, a grandmother, and a local political and environmental activist. The raid came after two suspects police had arrested claimed to have bought marijuana and prescription drugs from Van Zwyten. The police reported finding prescription pills plus small quantities of a variety of illicit drugs in the house, although Van Zwyten's boyfriend was charged only for possession of marijuana. Her family said after the raid that she had valid prescriptions for the pills. The SWAT officers who shot her were later cleared of any wrongdoing. Van Zwyten was the third person in 5 years killed by area SWAT teams conducting drug raids. This has been your Raid of the Day. Oh, yeah. Sick, isn't it? Shooting people up, busting their house, terrifying them.
Yeah, after they were already robbed and, whatever.
And it's so tough on this too because so much of our American culture is all about, especially lately in discussing guns and everything is, Second Amendment, protect yourself in your home. Mm-hmm. By God, we have, and this is the way, the Supreme Court decided in the Heller decision, that we do have a constitutional right to personally keep and bear arms for the purposes of self-defense in the home. That's pretty much the focus of that decision. Even Scalia said, don't take this decision to mean that anybody can carry anything anywhere, right? So at least I think anybody on any side of the gun argument could agree that personal protection in the home with a reasonable firearm is something that's, Second Amendment's kind of about, right? But how are you supposed to exercise that right? How are you supposed to defend yourself properly when the cops are using the same tactics as the break-in robbers, as these home invasion robbers, right?
Yeah.
Somebody comes crashing through your plate glass window, and if they are a home invading robber, why wouldn't they say, police, police, while they're coming in, right?
Yeah, no, they don't have to identify themselves, and that's the other bull crap, that gets too many people killed.
It's just, how are we supposed to, defend ourselves? Police should only be crashing through a door when there is imminent harm possible, right? Like, guy's got a gun to a hostage's head, or there's a bomb
about to go
there.
off.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
But somebody who's suspected of drugs at whatever level, there's no need to engage in these terroristic tactics to do it. There's no need. There's, do some detective work, figure out what the lady's routine is, find out when she's going to be going from here to there, pull her over on the side of the road, arrest her there.
No detectives anymore, Russ.
Get the warrant. Go to the home.
No gumshoes. There's no Dick Tracy. There's
it's a damn shame. All right, let me go to video because there's another story. This is right out here in Washington State, as a matter of fact, that has gotten some interest. I got to get there it is. All right. This is from the KOOMO News, KOMO News here in Washington State. And just enjoy this story.
You can't get drunk if the person next to you is drinking, but you can get high if they're smoking pot, and it could prove costly.
I was fired.
From a job Cheryl Hale had for 16 years.
I got hurt at work, and standard procedure when you get hurt, you get swabbed. No biggie.
Swabbed for drug use. To her surprise, she tested positive for marijuana, but she says she doesn't use pot.
Well, I'm arguing with the doctor, saying he's made a mistake. I said, the only one that smokes marijuana is him.
Him is her husband, Edwin, a heavy pot smoker. And to make matters worse, they live in a 27-foot motorhome, lots of secondhand pot smoke.
I was fired for testing positive for marijuana, even though mine was from secondhand smoke.
So the problem solvers wanted to find out how easy it is to test positive from secondhand smoke. We did a little experiment.
So this is the test to make sure I have no THC in my body.
That's the chemical in pot. Would I test positive for pot just from the secondhand smoke from Edwin?
At Show, we believe the world. Do we? We'll have to tune in later to find out. But in this story, I believe, let me get our video back here. Where the hell am I? All right, there we go. But yeah, in the story, this reporter ends up going into their motorhome, while he's smoking as heavily as he does. To find out whether or not he's going to test positive. I'm going to see if I can find that. Let's see if I can find that story and bring that up for us. But this is something that is going to have to be considered now when we start talking about Colorado and Washington. And they are currently, the way that they're doing it right now is they're making sure that that the employers still have the right to bust. Or to fire people, to discriminate against people, to continue to have their P-test and not hire people for doing something that's now legal.
Yeah.
And in Colorado, they have this law called the what was exact? I can't remember the exact term, but it's the Lawful Off-Duties Act, which basically says you can't be discriminated against at work for doing something that's legal, right? Mm-hmm. Like they can't discriminate against you for joining the Masons because that's legal. They can't discriminate against you because you like to play the lottery. Because that's legal.
Or you become a Hare Krishna, because that's legal.
Whatever, right? It can't discriminate. Well, some of that would be religious, and it ought to be covered, but still, the same idea.
Yeah, but still.
You if you join, any sort of group.
Like the NRA,
The NRA, or like, say, a late-night, midnight basketball league.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, they can't, because you're doing something legal, right? Well, the Colorado Appeals Court came out and said, well, marijuana is not federally legal, so that doesn't count for marijuana. Even though it's state legal. And this blows my mind because every decision I've ever seen on this discrepancy between federal and state law basically puts the onus of enforcing federal law on federal courts and federal law enforcement, and the onus on enforcing state law enforcement and state courts, right? But this Court of Appeals decision sounds to me like Colorado has to allow the punishment of marijuana users because it's illegal federally. What the hell does federal prohibition have to do with Colorado when it's a constitutional right in Colorado?
You know, and this, actually, if you want to click that link that I just sent you in the chat, this is another story which relates to the whole federal versus state kind of thing, I think, anyway. It's about banks not accepting cash that smells like marijuana.
Oh, really?
Has an interesting quality.
Thanks to Rio for this.
Smells. So if it's kept anywhere near marijuana, you'll have problems taking it to the bank.
I guarantee you're going to talk to the bank manager, and that's not a comfortable situation to be in.
John Davis knows that firsthand. He's had his business checking and credit card accounts shut down once the banks found out he runs a West Seattle medical marijuana access point. Banks don't want anything to do.
Let me pause for a second, too. John Davis is also one of the core Seattle Hemp Fest guys, and I get to see him every year, and he's very, very nice guy. Very good guy.
With pot.
Everything that I do here has to be cash, which makes it, more attractive to theft, which is why my store is built like a bank on steroids.
He put this cash into his safe for our benefit. His employees follow a strict routine to avoid the marijuana smell, putting cash in a separate safe. It's a provocative dilemma as our state wrestles with a new multi-billion-dollar legal pot industry that needs the bank's involvement. For banks, it comes down to this. It's a money laundering issue because money made from pot is illegal in their eyes. Since banks are regulated by the federal government and the feds see marijuana as illegal, any bank knowingly receiving money from a business that sells an illegal drug, regardless of state law, is subject to federal penalties.
Right now, it just doesn't make sense to me to take it.
Unless you're HSBC and you're laundering the money for the Mexican cartels in the billions and trillions of dollars, and you don't get even so much as a slap on the wrist.
Kind of risk.
David Strauss is the bank president.
The banks are between a rock and a hard spot.
He won't give an account to a guy like Davis, but believes some banks seeing profits may take a don't ask, don't tell approach.
I think there will be banks that'll take it, but I think there's got to be a lot more clarity before most banks will get involved in something that's illegal at the federal level.
What's going to happen?
I don't think anybody knows.
It's going to get weirder and weirder and weirder.
Yeah, it certainly is, for the banks and for the feds. They're going to have to, accept that this is an industry now and not just a drug trade. So
yeah, and this continued reticence to allow the states to move forward on this policy, it requires that we pass something like that States' Rights to Medical Marijuana or the Respect States Marijuana Laws Act, whichever its name is now.
Yeah.
Check that out at the federal level. Normal.org will have all the links to it. We've got to have something that amends the Controlled Substances Act for marijuana. That's really what the sticking point here is we need an exception that says, marijuana is illegal federally, except states may make their own policy on it. Right? That's what needs to happen here. Now, another interesting story that came out here. Well, actually, let me wait on this. We'll talk about this when we come back from break. We're going to take a short little break and take care of the nanograms. And when we come back, an interesting story on THC and HIV. Oh, yeah. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show.
You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What makes something funny? How does humor impact health and psychological well-being? How can you incorporate humor into everyday life? A concise, reader-friendly introduction to an important but often underappreciated topic in modern psychology, Humor 101 explains the role of comedy, jokes, and wit in the sciences and discusses why they are so important to understand. Psychology professor Dr. Mitch Earlywine draws from his personal experiences in stand-up comedy to focus on how humor can regulate emotion, reduce anxiety, and diffuse tense situations, expose pretensions, build personal relationships, and much more. He irreverently debunks the pseudoscience on the topic of humor and leaves readers not only funnier, but better informed. It's part of the Psych 101 series from Springer Publishing, Humor 101.
I am not a stoner. I am nothing you've heard. I'm you. We may not be happy with the world that we live in. Politicians who believe in criminalization, making deals with big pharma, and trading big money behind the scenes is not a way to stay in office. I will go to bat for you. I will go to Burning Man and smoke my brains out. I'm Terry Joyce, and I approve this message. I'm you, and also, I'm a witch.
Sorry, boys and girls, but this is X-rated. So if you're under 18...
Get the point? Good.
I keep it bouncing every day of the week. They got me on repeat. The heat moving the feet. I keep it bouncing all the way to the roof. Oh my God, damn! The roof is on fire. I keep the flame burning like a waterproof lighter. I poke a hole to let the light in, scatter shadow. I'm doing how I'm doing, staying crooked as an arrow. What? Hanging on the block, let me talk through your speech. A thing in 2 dimension, I've been saying it.
I love the dirt ball. That's bouncing.
Keep you bouncing.
Crick County Killer. Welcome back to the show, 40 after the hour. Tonight, coming up later, we have got, well, at 5 o'clock, we've got Big Daddy Fink's Funky Roller Ring, the Rockabilly edition.
Last night.
And I didn't get to hear it last night, so I'm looking forward to it. 5 o'clock, coming up in just 20 minutes. Also, 8 o'clock tonight, 8 o'clock Pacific time, Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. Yeah, we're going to be playing some Slayer.
Oh, they're going to hit the Slayer heavy.
They're going to be some Slayer. And we've got Ralph Martinez, a.k.a. Smoke Dog Jr.
Oh, nah.
From the world-famous Cannabis Cafe is going to be in studio
No
to talk
doubt.
about not only the march and the cafe, but the new 710 National Dab Association. They're doing, like the 420 Football League? I think this one's a 710 Basketball League.
Oh, interesting.
I think.
Well, I know that there's a 710 cup that's going to be coming up.
Yes, there's that too. Now we're starting to see cups that are developing around just the concentrates.
And that's the oil culture, the Earls.
The Earls.
Yeah, Earl's my good friend there.
All right, so let me get to, let me find this. Okay, so this story coming out of Reason.com, won't some folks feel stupid if it turns out marijuana fights HIV?
Yeah, no shit.
There's a study that's just out in the Journal of Leukocyte Biology, and let me tag this for Dr. Mitch as well. We'll put this in the Ask Dr. Mitch next
The other
Wednesday.
one that was on Wired yesterday that I tagged for you. But
this one, THC, they talk about using a synthetic version of THC to attack the HIV-1 virus, which is 90% of all HIV viruses. And it interacts with the CB2 receptor to deal with macrophages, which are part of our immune system, kind of the secondary backup of our immune system. And HIV attacks it first. It's like really, it's kind of like...
Yeah, they're a type of white blood cell.
Right. And HIV loves this type of macrophage. And they found that where is this here? That the THC, the CB2 receptor in macrophages is stimulated normally when THC enters the bloodstream, so nothing unusual there. However, it appears that macrophages that have their CB2 receptor stimulated are stronger when it comes to fighting and weakening the HIV-1 virus. In other words, THC is spinach to the Popeye cells to kick HIV's ass.
Popeye the Sailor Man.
So they conclude, this is a Reason writing here, medical marijuana is already typically sought out by many HIV patients to ease some of the side effects of the drug treatments, that marijuana may actually be helping weaken the virus as well would be a great discovery if true. I think there's a lot of HIV patients that already know this.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's the other aspect of it, without looking at, somebody infected with HIV, it strengthens their immune system. Hello, it's an autoimmune booster. It's a neuroprotectant. How many more things do we have to prove that it's good for before they'll finally let us use it for whatever the hell we want? I just don't get it.
I know, and to continue
mind-boggling.
To continue to leave it a Schedule I drug with no recognized medical use in the United States is just the longer they hold on to that, the worse they look.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it now. Everybody's just like, really? No medical use?
They are now, in this day and age, as the people who thought the world was flat in Columbus's day.
Really? This is that Fox News poll that we covered at the beginning of the show. 85% of the nation supports medical marijuana, and that's coming from a Fox News poll. 91% of Democrats, 80% of Republicans, right? So it's hard to even find a Republican now who doesn't understand that marijuana is medicine.
Yeah, just even as a last resort compassionate effort. That's how most of them are voting on it.
That's the poll showed. They showed that while 85% of the people support medical marijuana, only 30% think the people currently getting medical marijuana are getting it for legitimate medical purpose. And that it was something like it's like 47% of them said that they're just doing it so they can smoke weed. But yet they still support it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
My thing would be like, if really only 3 out of 10 voters think that people are using medical marijuana legitimately, and it still gets 85% support?
Yeah, that means we've won just about,
We've won medical for sure.
Yeah, we've won medical for sure. We just need to get it on paper now.
There you go. All right, let me get this other story. This one's coming from the Progressive Pulse out of North Carolina, and it's the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. And it has to do with Freedom of Information Act. Y'all know Freedom of Information Act, or FOIA. That's where you can, petition the government, a government agency, to release records. And with a few exceptions for things that have to be classified, they got to release the records to you in a timely fashion. Well, this guy named John Coleman has been waiting 5 years for a FOIA request that he did to the DEA. And the Fourth Circuit Court said today, that's long enough. In an opinion by Judge Harvey Wilkinson, the court not only told the agency to get moving, but also sent a message loud and clear to other agencies taking their time in responding to public records requests. We do, and this is the judge's opinion, we do recognize that agencies face their own challenges in implementing FOIA. The statute and its accompanying regulations are complex. The scope of the exemptions are open to interpretation and dispute. The volume of requests is frequently heavy, and citizens themselves often submit vague requests for voluminous materials. None of this, however, excuses what happened here, namely the agency's maintenance of complete and utter silence for periods vastly exceeding at every juncture the statute's requirement of a prompt response. Nowhere in FOIA did Congress contemplate government sitting on its hands for months at a time and doing nothing. The time has come for Coleman to receive resolution of his request of February 29th, 2008.
That's right.
The court sent Coleman's case back to the district court with orders to, quote, give due weight to the cumulative delays that have transpired in this case and to the importance of transparency in government, end quote. There we go.
That last part.
Yeah.
That about the transparency in government.
The importance of transparency in government. And that's the thing. These FOIA requests, and we use these all the time in marijuana law reform. I remember Normal, when I was working with Normal, we had put in a FOIA request to find out how much money they had spent at some gala. It was some DEA like party or something. And we wanted to get, all right, what'd you spend all the money on? And I don't know that we ever got it. And that's got to be at least 3-4 years old. We have to have judges like this that will force these government agencies to get on the ball.
What was that judge's name again?
Judge Harvey Wilkinson out of the Fourth Circuit. Thank you, Judge Wilkinson. And in one other story, this one's coming out of the Phoenix New Times, which is, I believe, their weekly down in Phoenix, Arizona. And this one goes out to all the people in Washington State who are complaining about a 5 nanogram per se DUID.
Yeah.
Because Ray Stern writes about how to avoid a marijuana DUI in Zero Tolerance, Arizona. As our cover story this week points out, state law prohibits driving with marijuana or its metabolite in the person's body. In February, the Arizona Court of Appeals upheld the zero tolerance rule in a case that's now being appealed to the state Supreme Court. Because the appellate court ruled that its metabolite could be plural as well as singular, even an inert metabolite of marijuana's active ingredient, THC, which can stay in the body for weeks after last use of the drug, counts under the proscription. So, this whole, Arizona is one of the 3 states that have medical marijuana that also have zero tolerance. I believe that's what they write. Let me see if it's on the second page and they list which ones they are.
So if you're in Arizona, you're going to a marijuana march tomorrow, take public transportation.
There you go.
And just save yourself a little bit of hassle.
Well, of course, according to the state cops and Sheriff Joe Arpaio and all these guys, they basically say that if you are a medical marijuana patient in Arizona, you can never legally drive. You can really never drive.
Yeah.
So be aware that 5 nanograms sucks, but man, it doesn't suck as bad as zero tolerance for metabolites. Now that's something in Washington's I-502 that they specifically got rid of.
Yeah.
Is the ability to use metabolites in your convictions.
Yeah.
So there's always a silver lining. You can always see, where the glass can be half full. Now, that said, as we approach this global marijuana march this weekend, sometimes people might think, well, what is there to march for in Washington State or Colorado? They already won. No, it's only begun.
No.
You guys in Washington and Colorado need to turn out even more. You need to start, and this is where I think the evolution of our movement takes us. First, it was kind of marijuana is not good, but prohibition really sucks, so let's decriminalize. That's where we started in the 70s, right?
Yep.
Now, we don't want to encourage anyone to smoke marijuana, but really, should we lock them up? And that's where we started getting decrim. That evolved into the 90s of, well, wait a minute. For some people, marijuana is good.
There's some proven benefits.
Yeah, it's medicine.
And they've done research and they've got documentation,
So we should have at least an exception for those sick people.
Those
right?
people, they don't have long to live, just the sickest people. We should let them have a little bit of leeway. We don't need to lock them up.
And now our evolution of the movement is at the legalization stage. And I think what has to happen in the framing here, and I'm going to start talking about this, at the march tomorrow, this is going to be part of my speech, is that we no longer have to fight the medical battle. At least, now that's, again, I'm talking locality-wise, Oregon-wise, West Coast-wise, right? If you're in Kansas, fight the medical battle.
Yeah, in the states where there's nothing, fight for what you can get.
Right. But here, we don't need to fight the medical battle because everybody agrees with medical. I mean, there's things we can tweak. We can get PTSD in there. We can get, dispensaries, etc. But generally speaking, we don't need to fight for the hearts and minds in medical. And we no longer need to play the marijuana is safer cards anymore out here in the West. That poll that came out with Fox News, and the big question, this got buried, that question that said, is it more dangerous to drink and then drive or smoke pot and then drive? And when you had 51% say it's more dangerous to drink and drive and 4% said it was more dangerous to toke and drive, we've won the marijuana is safer argument as well. I think where our argument goes now is equal rights. Now it's an equal rights argument. Why don't we have the same rights as our friends who drink craft beers or as our friends who drink fine Oregon wines?
Or smoke cigarettes.
Or smoke cigarettes or cigars or what have you. I think that's where our movement goes next. That's where we start. We start making this an equal rights movement, and then hopefully we can avoid some of these statutes that treat marijuana so much stricter than it treats alcohol. If we start framing it as equal rights, we can say, hey, if a beer drinker can go buy a keg, why can't I buy a bale? If a beer drinker can buy as many bottles as he wants, why can't I buy as many ounces? And that's where we start to win. We'll talk more about that and close up the show when we come back.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers. because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
I'm John Bon Jovi, and I've been given a script to talk to you about drugs, rock and roll, having fun, a good time, and all that good stuff. Well, I'll tell you what, drugs is not a part of my everyday routine. It's not everyday fun. It's not good for you. All right, so listen, think twice before you do drugs, because there ain't no winners out there doing it.
Echo Movement. That's 15 minutes. Welcome back, Toker Talk Radio. Just a couple minutes here to finish up the show. Don't forget the march is tomorrow here in Portland. High noon is when we leave, but we start the event at 11 a.m. Pacific time.
That's at our Pioneer Square downtown, Pioneer Courthouse Square on the corner of 5th, is it 5th?
6th and
Broad.
Yeah.
6th and the Yamhill.
There we go.
Sorry.
And if you want to find your march, you can go to rad-r.us/MJMarch, capital MJM, rad-r.us/MJMarch, capital MJM on that. Or if you visit the Weed blog or ncc420.com, I've put posts up there that have that link as well, so you can get involved.
Or find them on Global Cannabis March, Global Marijuana March on Facebook.
There you go. All right, one quick story to end the day about meth. Let's talk about meth. You know that Texas fertilizer plant blew up out in there in West Texas? Mm-hmm. Well, apparently, this place had been a target for numerous thefts of anhydrous ammonia.
Oh, my
Anybody
goodness.
out there who watches Breaking Bad knows that anhydrous ammonia is one of the major elements you need to cook up a whole bunch of meth. Here's a story from Reuters that pointed out police records show West Fertilizer began complaining of repeated thefts from the facility in June 2001 when burglars stole 150 pounds of anhydrous ammonia from storage tanks 3 nights in a row. Nearly a year later, a plant manager told police that thieves were siphoning 4 to 5 gallons of the liquefied fertilizer every 3 days. After a series of break-ins a few years ago, the company installed a security system, but that didn't deter anyone. The last record of tampering was in October 2012 when a 911 caller reported an odor so strong it can burn your eyes. The firm dispatched Cody Dragoo, an employee often sent after hours to shut leaking valves and look into break-ins. That night, he shut off the valve but reported it had been tampered with. By the way, Cody Dragoo was killed in that West Texas explosion. They're pointing out how this company was very rarely inspected, how it was storing thousands of times more of explosive material than it was supposed to be stored, how there are no regulations about how far you put a fertilizer plant near, people and habitations, and how the United States is the only country, one of the only countries that still allows this type of formulation of explosive fertilizer. Most other countries have their laws now require a different chemical manufacture that makes it non-explosive, but not America, because the chemical industry got involved in lobbying for it and didn't want to lose a few extra dollars in their profits. One more quick stat from this story. According to the DEA's latest data, Texas really isn't a big meth-producing state. It only had 32 meth labs found, compared to, okay, get ready for this, 1,800 in Missouri. 1,800 meth labs in Missouri. So here we've got a major chemical industry whose product is being routinely stolen to make meth and eventually ends up blowing up damn near a whole town.
This is over a decade. This is 12,
And yet, they still want to pay cops to rip up our plants. When are they going to learn that what we are advocating here is so much safer than all of that? Oh my gosh. That's all the time we got here, but stay tuned. Coming up next, we got Big Daddy Fink's Funky Roller Rink, Rockabilly Edition. It's going to be a good one. And then at 8 o'clock, we've got Herb Thrasher Flower Hour with special guest Smoke Dog Jr. And we got a tribute to Slayer coming up. So for Brian the Red, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
Take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it.